What's up, everybody? We just got some major fight announcements from the boss man, Dana White, and that is UFC 324, and this card is absolutely stacked, man. I am super excited for the Paramount UFC era, but I gotta be honest, man. We got some whackness going on here, right? And we're going to talk about all these fights. I'm going to react, give my early predictions for every single one of them. And listen, man, I am very excited for this. Do not get me wrong. But I can't help but look at this main event and just shake my head, man. Justin Gaethje versus Paddy Pimblett for the interim lightweight title? I mean, like, what is going on here, man? So I'm going to react, give my thoughts, because Ilia posted on Twitter before Dana's announcements. Dana White then confirms that the winner of Gaethje versus Pimblett is going to fight Ilia next for the undisputed title. So we're going to discuss all this, right? Lerone Murphy had some things to say on Twitter, Movsar as well. And then we also got the announcement, UFC 325, Alexander Volkanovski versus Diego Lopes 2. I'm going to probably lose my voice, man. Don't even get me started with this one. That's why I put this last, man. I can't take it, man. I can't take it. All right, but let's talk about this card, man, because I want to be I want to be very clear, man. I am very, very excited for this. I'm excited for the UFC to go over to Paramount. I'm excited for what the future has in store, man. And these are amazing matchups. But this main event, like, what are we doing here? Why in the world is Justin Gaethje versus Paddy Pimblett for an interim lightweight title? Why? Arman Tsarukyan just went out there and butchered Dan Hooker within 2 rounds, and he's the number one guy. Arman Tsarukyan is the next best guy in this weight class outside of Ilia Topuria. Arman Tsarukyan destroys Justin Gaethje. Arman Tsarukyan destroys Paddy Pimblett. You know, and this is one of the things that I know a lot of us have been out there saying, and that is what I'm really concerned about with this new Paramount era, man, is it just feels like we've been seeing hints of this for a while now from the UFC. It just really feels like we are heading in this WWE-like direction when it comes to the matchmaking, man, because what is this main event, man? For an interim belt? And then you're going to put Kayla Harrison versus Amanda Nunes, which is, literally, that's a super fight in WMMA, man. We have the GOAT and Amanda Nunes coming back, one of my favorite women's fighters of all time, one of my favorite fighters, period, coming out of retirement to take on this absolute monster that is Kayla Harrison. That's a massive fight. And then for the headliner, you're going to put Gaethje versus Pimblett, which both guys don't deserve a title shot right now. And they're the ones that are fighting for the interim belt to get the next crack at Ilia Topuria. While we just have, Arman Tsarukyan sitting around on the couch eating burgers and hanging around doing what? What are they going to do with Arman? Make him just go through the gauntlet of contenders and keep holding it against him that he pulled out of that UFC 311 fight against Islam Makhachev, and even though he weighed in as the backup at 317, weighed in, went out there, even created a little bit of a stir by headbutting, Dan Hooker at the weigh-ins. Like, Arman is becoming a massive star, man. The fight to make is Ilia Topuria versus Arman Tsarukyan, and I don't know if we're ever going to get it at this point. I don't know if we're ever going to get it, because to hear, Dana sit here and say the winner of Gaethje versus Paddy is going to fight Ilia next, I mean, it's just absolutely crazy, man. Absolutely crazy. But at the end of the day, are we shocked? Not really. We're not. I was holding out hope because I was sitting here saying, listen, Ilia versus Arman is the fight to make. And Ilia took to Twitter before Dana's announcements, and I hope everything is all right with Ilia Topuria. I hope he gets everything sorted out, man, because it sounds like there's a lot of things going on in his personal life. I hope all is good with Ilia Topuria and he gets this stuff sorted out, man. I'm just so frustrated because we had this guy, Arman Tsarukyan. Like, Arman should be fighting. If we're having an interim belt, why is Arman not evolved? Why is it not Arman versus Gaethje or Arman versus Pimblett or whatever? In my opinion, Arman versus Pimblett would be crazy. Even Gaethje versus Arman, whatever. But these two, if this was just a contender fight, sure. Right, which, I know people are going to say, well, it's an interim belt, so it's technically a contender fight anyway. But, guys, it's the point. Paddy Pimblett beat a washed Tony Ferguson, a washed Bobby Green, a washed Michael Chandler. And, yes, Paddy Pimblett, I believe, I've been saying for a while, he is incredibly overlooked. He's very underrated. He's got skills, man. He definitely has skills, but he's beating a bunch of old washed up guys. And now he's going in there against, yes, Justin Gaethje's dangerous and coming off of a win, which bravo to Paddy Pimblett. He's actually going to be fighting somebody that's coming off of a win. So I guess that's a good thing here. But this is just crazy to me, man. Absolutely crazy. The fight to make is Ilia versus Arman. And the UFC, it just seems like they just don't fuck with Arman. They just don't mess with him, man. It's just so crazy, man. Absolutely crazy. So I'm going to break down these fights, and then we'll get into my whole, this whole thing, man. But first, listen, I think Paddy Pimblett's going to go out there and beat Justin Gaethje, right? I've said before that, look, Justin Gaethje is your favorite fighter's favorite fighter, right? Gaethje goes out there, he's supposed to be fighting Dan Hooker, right? Hooker pulls out with an injury, in steps Rafael Fiziev on short notice. It's a rematch, and Justin Gaethje looked good in the fight, man. Like, we've seen that Justin Gaethje has slowed back that, chaotic-like style of his to be a little bit more methodical, a little bit more technical. But really, every fight that Gaethje is in, he hurts his opponent. So obviously, he's probably going to land some big shots on Paddy Pimblett, right? Those leg kicks are nasty. I expect Gaethje to be throwing leg kicks from the very beginning, right? Because Paddy's got that long, wide stance. He's very slow. He's not, he's very, very stiff in there as Paddy Pimblett, man. And I think Justin Gaethje, he could definitely hurt Paddy Pimblett for sure, right? I'm not counting Gaethje out of this fight, but we all know, brother, Gaethje's grappling is zero. Right, his wrestling is actually, his takedown defense is decent, right? When he's in there against dangerous submission threats, that's where it becomes a problem. When he's in there against a Michael Chandler who's shooting for takedowns, Gaethje has no problem scrambling and stopping takedowns. But Paddy Pimblett, man, on the feet, Gaethje's way better, right? And as scouts just don't get knocked out, fuck what you're talking about, lad. I think Paddy Pimblett, on the feet, he's definitely got some power as well. Pimblett's got some good kicks, some good front kicks, but I feel like Gaethje has the advantage there. I feel like Paddy Pimblett is going to land, kicks from range, get a hold of Gaethje, take him down, and I think Paddy Pimblett's going to end up submitting Justin Gaethje within the first couple of rounds, man. Gaethje, and while he's still very good, he's not in his prime anymore. He's not, and that's why the UFC booked this fight, man. They want to do Ilia Topuria versus Paddy Pimblett. That is the fight that the UFC wants. That's the fight that Ilia wants. So we all know that that's the fight that they're going to look to do, and Justin Gaethje is the most winnable opponent at the top of the weight class for Paddy Pimblett. That's why this fight's being booked, in my opinion at least. I think Paddy Pimblett goes out there and gets the job done. Of course, it's so risky because Gaethje hits hard. You can never count Gaethje out, and every single fight that Gaethje is in, he always ends up hurting his opponent, right? We've seen that. He's got big power. His hands are nasty. But at the end of the day, as stiff and as a board on the feet as Paddy Pimblett, right? At the end of the day, he's still good, man. And what he did to Michael Chandler, it was impressive. Even though Chandler is washed, that was impressive, right? Because the fight before that, look what Charles Oliveira went to a decision with Chandler. Even though he was dominating him and outclassing him on the ground, Paddy Pimblett went out there and butchered Michael Chandler and got a stoppage. Wildly impressive, man. It was still impressive. I know people want to discredit that, but it was still impressive. I think he goes out there. He's not going to mess around on the feet with Justin. He's going to land those kicks from range. Paddy's got that chin in the air, so I'm sure Gaethje's going to be swinging for the bleachers, get himself out of position. Paddy's going to duck underneath, take him down, and find a submission within the first 2 rounds. Then we're going to get the fight of Ilia Topuria versus Paddy Pimblett, probably at the White House or something like that. I imagine that is what the UFC is eyeing there. Okay, Kayla Harrison versus Amanda Nunes. I'm going Kayla Harrison here. Listen, Amanda Nunes is a powerhouse. She's a juggernaut, man. And what we know about Amanda is she's incredibly well-rounded and she's got dynamite in her hand. She is definitely better than Kayla on the feet by far. I don't really even think it's close on the feet. I know Kayla's gotten a little bit better, right? Her footwork, her movement, and she seems a little bit more comfortable on the feet. But this isn't the fight to try to test your striking if you're Kayla Harrison, right? This is where we want to see Kayla take the fight to the ground, implement those judo skills, and put Amanda on her back and turn this into that fight where Juliana Pena was able to go out there and upset Amanda Nunes. Because if this plays out on the feet, Kayla Harrison's getting knocked out, right? Nunes has big power in her hands. We all know that. She's got a solid ground game. But I still feel like Kayla Harrison, Amanda's taken some time off. She retired. She's coming back. We saw GSP do it, right? Remember when GSP retired, came back, fought Michael Bisping, and was able to get the win? It just doesn't always usually end the best when fighters come out of retirement, come back. But I feel like Amanda was looking for something to motivate her, right? And this is definitely going to motivate her. Somebody like Kayla, a monster like Kayla, who's got a very, very unique skill set, very dominant on the ground. I think Amanda could definitely go out there and get this thing done. But my early lean says Kayla Harrison, right? I think the ground game is going to be too much. I think she's going to be able to take Amanda down, work the ground and pound, control her on the floor, be able to win minutes. Maybe she gets a stoppage. Maybe she finds a sub or something. I don't know, man. This is a tough fight. I feel like this is a little bit trickier for me to pick, man. But my early prediction says Kayla Harrison because of the ground game. She's been active. She's the one that's been in here competing. While Amanda has a wealth of experience, she did retire. She's been away for a little, but I feel like she's going to be motivated coming back into this thing, man. And she does have the power to be able to put Kayla Harrison away. So early lean, I'll say Kayla Harrison. But Amanda Nunes, never can count out Amanda Nunes, man, because her power is legit. And I think she could definitely knock out Kayla in this fight, but I give the edge to Kayla because of the activity and the ground game. Sean O'Malley, Song Yadong. I think Sean O'Malley is going to win this fight against Song Yadong. Listen, I think Song Yadong's got some tremendous boxing, right? He's been in there with some of the best guys, Petr Yan, Corey Sandhagen. He's came up short in those fights, but I mean, Song he's very good, man. He's very skilled. We saw him out there against Henry Cejudo, right? Song's got decent wrestling of his own. I think we're going to see him look to utilize that in this fight because while Song does have good power in his hands, I mean, Sean O'Malley is way slicker on the feet, man. The speed of Sean, the boxing, the front kicks, the range management, the footwork. I feel like Sugar Sean O'Malley is going to pick apart Song Yadong, and he might even end up knocking him out, but I'll say Sean O'Malley, early prediction, gets a decision win over Song Yadong. I think Sean stops the takedowns, keeps the fight on the feet, tags him up from range, picks him apart, and ends up kind of stunning on Song Yadong to get back in the win column. I like Song, man. He's a little bit plotty, throws these big winging shots. You just can't mosey forward throwing these big looping punches against a very tactical and sharp, fast striker like Sean O'Malley. I think that this is a very good matchup for Sean O'Malley. I think he gets back in the win column and outstrikes Song Yadong and wins a decision. Arnold Allen, Jean Silva. I'm going to early lean. I'm going to say Arnold Allen goes out here and wins a decision over Jean Silva, man. Listen, I know that Jean Silva, it's all action, right? He's usually going out there knocking people out or getting knocked out, as we saw in his last fight against Diego Lopes. But I feel like the footwork and the movement and the experience of Arnold Allen, he's going to be able to weaponize that in this fight. Now, if Jean Silva moves forward and is doing his antics and lands a big right hand, I mean, I think he could definitely put a stop to Arnold Allen, right? Because Jean Silva has the power advantage in this fight. But Arnold Allen's a smooth fighter, man. He's very, very well-rounded. Look at his exciting fight with Movsar. You've seen Arnold Allen in there, right, against Max Holloway. He could go toe-to-toe with the best guys in this weight class, man. He's got good footwork, good kicks, good movement, slick hands. I feel like Arnold Allen might be the most underrated featherweight on the roster right now. He's a guy that not a lot of people like to talk about, man. Arnie. Right? Arnold Allen's really, really good, man. I'm a fan of this guy. I think his footwork and his movement is going to frustrate Jean Silva, man. And this is an important fight, right? Because Jean Silva coming off the devastating knockout loss to Diego Lopes, right? Got thrown in the Shark Tank, got KO'd. Now he's looking to bounce back, and Arnold Allen ain't an easy fight, man. I know Arnold Allen isn't exactly, known for being this big knockout guy or anything, but he's definitely slick, definitely good on the feet, and I think the footwork is going to be a little bit of an issue for Jean Silva. But again, if Silva lands, he can knock anybody out in this weight class. Early lean, I'll say Arnold Allen. Umar Nurmagomedov versus Deiveson Figueiredo. I'm going Umar Nurmagomedov by a decision. Listen, I think that this is a very good stylistic matchup for Umar. Now, I know Deiveson, right, former flyweight champion. He's been pretty good in the bantamweight division. We've seen some hiccups here and there, right? Got hurt in the Corey Sandhagen fight, right? But he's coming off of a nice win over, he went out there, beat Montel Jackson, right? But the thing with Deiveson Figueiredo is he's kind of dependent upon his ground game when things get a little bit dicey. When he doesn't always have the advantage on the feet, we tend to see him resort to the grappling. He ain't out grappling Umar Nurmagomedov. And yes, Deiveson Figueiredo's got some power in his hands. Yes, he does move well. It has translated very well to the bantamweight division, his power especially. So, you can never count out Figgy, man. He's got big power in his hands, tends to load up a little bit to where I can see Umar dipping underneath, taking him down, or just playing the kicking game from range. I think Umar Nurmagomedov outstrikes Figueiredo on the feet, mixes in the takedowns, puts him on his back, and is able to neutralize Deiveson Figueiredo. Again, a little bit of a risky fight here, right? Because Umar looking to stay active, right? I know that, they were saying they wanted another fight before they get back in there and fight Merab again. I think that this is a good matchup for Umar Nurmagomedov. Again, risky, right? In a big fight here for Figueiredo, because if he could go out there and upset, Umar Nurmagomedov, that would be one of the biggest wins, if not the biggest win of Deiveson's career. And if he could go out there and get one over Umar, I think he would throw himself right into the title conversation for sure. But I think Umar's striking is too crisp, too clean. He's going to bang the kicks from the outside, mix in the takedowns, and make it kind of look like the Mario Bautista fight. I think Umar mixes things up and makes it look pretty easy against Deiveson Figueiredo. Then we got Waldo Cortez Acosta getting Derek Lewis here, man. I think Waldo Cortez Acosta is going to get this one done against Derek Lewis. Now, I think someone's getting knocked out, right? So if Derek Lewis wins this fight, he's going to get the KO. If Waldo gets it done, I think he gets the KO. Maybe we see a decision, right? Kind of a slow-paced fight, right? Both guys are kind of scared, to engage because of the power. But I just feel like Waldo, he's riding a lot of hype right now, man. This is a guy that, he's feeling himself, taking fights on short notice, flying over to Qatar, a couple-day notice, knocking out Shamil Gaziev, the GOAT man, right? taking out Shamil Gaziev, starching Ante D'Elia, right? Losing a decision to Sergey Pavlovich, but he was in there against a heavy hitter in Sergey, who's a very dangerous guy, right? He's been stacking up the wins, man. He is the definition of fighting anyone, anytime, any place, anywhere. That is Waldo, man. Got to respect him. Got to respect him, right? And I know a lot of people, I was kind of the same way. I'm like, man, I don't like the way he treated Arlovsky in that fight, man. Taunting, a legend like Arlovsky, but he's really grown on a lot of people, man. And I like watching Waldo fight, man. I'm a fan. And I'm a big fan of Derek Lewis as well, man. USA in this hoe, right? I love Derek Lewis, man. I love this fight. I hope it goes to a decision because I don't want to see either guy get knocked out. But I feel like Waldo's going to come out here. He's going to put the jab in Lewis's face, and the speed is going to be the difference of Waldo, man, right? This guy is very, very athletic. His jab is a piston. Those leg kicks are nasty. And we've seen with Derek Lewis, right, when he usually deals pretty well with some of these younger contenders. But when he's in there against these heavy hitters that are not afraid to get after it with him, we see Derek Lewis tend to struggle. And again, with Derek, he's hot and cold, man. He's liable to go out there and knock out, the greatest fighter we've ever seen. And then he's liable to go out there and lose to the worst heavyweight that we have ever seen, man. So you just never know what to expect with the Derek Lewis fight. I expect him to bring it in this one against Waldo, but I think Waldo's speed is going to be the difference in this fight. I think he gets him with the jab, starts to bang the leg kicks from range, and then that right hand is eventually going to go up, and then I think we get a TKO stoppage. Derek's covering up, Waldo's landing some shots, and the referee has to step in. I'm going to say a round 2 TKO stoppage for Waldo Cortez Acasa. So again, man, this card is very, very loaded. Don't get me wrong. Very excited for this card. Amazing matchups, big names, right? All over the card. The name value is there. It's just crazy, man, that the UFC is booking Gaethje versus Pimblett for the interim title fight. And I mean, just the fact that Dana is confirming the winner, and didn't Dana just say Arman versus Dan Hooker didn't he say that was the number 1 contender fight? I mean, this is just craziness, man. This is absolutely crazy, and I'm just starting to doubt if we're ever going to see Ilia versus Arman Tsarukyan, because if Ilia goes out there and he beats the winner of Gaethje versus Paddy, they're probably just going to send him up to welterweight to take on Islam or something like that. So I don't know, man. We literally, one of the most high-level and entertaining fights in the UFC right now is Ilia Topuria versus Arman Tsarukyan. And I get that Ilia's away. He's dealing with it with his personal stuff. I completely understand that. My thing is, why is Arman Tsarukyan not a part of this interim title fight? He very much could have been. I don't think he took any damage against Dan Hooker. You mean to tell me that he could have just stepped in here and either fought Paddy Pimblett or fought Justin Gaethje? It's absolutely crazy, man. And the fact that those guys are fighting for the interim titles, and we got guys like Max Holloway putting in work, guys like Charles Oliveira putting in work. It's absolutely insane, man. Paddy Pimblett has essentially not beaten anybody good in this weight class. He's a big name. He's marketable. And I think that that's what we're going to see a lot of with the Paramount deal. Some of those WWE antics coming into play, man, in terms of the marketability and the names. And that's kind of what I guess Lerone Murphy is getting at right here, man. And I feel for Lerone Murphy, man, and Movsar Evloev, because these are two guys that absolutely have earned a title opportunity. 100%. Right, and this is what Lerone says after Dana makes his announcements. Missing the opportunity to fight one of the featherweight GOATs is what hurts me the most. It's not about who's the best anymore. It's about who's most popular. Couldn't have said it any better, man. Except I'm not the one that's going to be going in there fighting one of the featherweight GOATs. But listen, you know what I'm saying? That last part there. It's not about who's the best anymore. It's about who's most popular. And now that the UFC just signed this giant-ass deal with Paramount, you think that this is going to change? I think it's only going to get worse. It's only going to get worse, man. And obviously, I'm still excited for fights no matter what, man. But we can still sit up here and call out what we're seeing. And what I'm seeing is a guy in Lerone Murphy who took a short notice risk against Aaron Pico, a guy who didn't prove shit in the UFC, a guy that the UFC was hyping up. Lerone took a risk to fight him on short notice, went out there, knocked his ass out at UFC 319. And why did Lerone take that fight? Why did he take that fight? Did the UFC maybe kind of hint at, like, hey, man, we might give you a title shot off of that? Right, and I feel like that's part of maybe where this is coming from for Lerone Murphy. Now, that's just me speculating. I don't know. But because I was like, why is he taking this Aaron Pico fight? And he kept saying, big risk, big reward. And I'm like, is that what's going on here? Lerone Murphy's earned a title opportunity. And I understand not all of his fights have been the most entertaining. He's a tactician, right? A lot of his fights have been a little bit slower paced. He hasn't done himself a ton of favors in terms of being super exciting. But when you go out there and you take a risk and you're fighting in a co-main event against a guy who's dangerous like Aaron Pico, again, unproven in the UFC, and you knock his ass out like that, in my opinion, you should be fighting for a title or at least in the conversation. Right, and then Movsar have called out Lerone Murphy, saying, Lerone Murphy, I will give you the opportunity to fight the number one contender. Tell your people you're ready to fight me on the same card as the championship. Now, I hope that this happens. I would love that. On the Volkanovski versus Diego Lopes card, right, let's get this fight on there. Number one contender fight. Both of these guys have earned an opportunity. It should have been either Movsar or Lerone fighting Alexander Volkanovski next. But I wanted to bring this up, man, because this, to me, this is the fight that should happen next. And this is the real contenders fight here, man. These guys should be fighting for the belt next, man. These guys should be fighting for the belt next. I wanted to bring this up because that last part, it's not about who's the best anymore. It's about who's most popular. And if you want to say that he's wrong, look at this right here. We got Justin Gaethje versus Paddy Pimblett. That winner is fighting Ilia, and Arman Sarukian's name is nowhere to be found, man. It's just crazy. Is the UFC just going to keep holding this against Arman forever, pulling out of the UFC 311 fight with Islam? Weighed in as the backup at 317. Weighed in against Dan Hooker. Made weight, went out there, destroyed Dan Hooker like he was supposed to. Got the finish in round 2. Finished a fight against a game opponent like Dan Hooker. And the fight before that, UFC 300, he beat Charles Oliveira. It's just absolutely crazy, man. Absolutely crazy, man. That one of the best fights they could book in the UFC right now. And people acting like Arman versus Ilia isn't a big fight. Oh, Paddy versus Ilia is a bigger fight. Nonsense. Arman Sarukian versus Ilia is the bigger fight, man. It's the bigger fight. It's the more high-level fight, and it's the fight that should be happening. And this is crazy, man. Absolutely crazy. Wanted to bring this up. Movsar versus Lerone Murphy. If you happen to see this video somehow, we appreciate you both, man, and the fans respect you guys, man. And, I hope we get a number one contender fight because these guys should be fighting for the title, man. This is absolute nonsense from the UFC. And like I said, with the new Paramount deal, this is what I think we're going to be seeing a lot more of, where the days are gone of seeing the number one guy, the next best guy in the weight class, getting the opportunity to fight against the champion. And that's what we want to see at the end of the day, is not WWE stuff. We want to see the best guys going up against the best guys, man. And I just feel like these days are, it's just, this is the new norm, per se, when it comes to title fights. And last but not least, I'll end you guys with this, man. This is an absolute disgrace. This is an absolute disgrace. And I want to be very clear before I go off. I love Diego Lopes as a fighter, man. He is every single time he's going to get in your face. He's going to try to knock you out. If the fight hits the floor, he is hunting for submissions. He is the definition of a certified finisher in the UFC. And none of his fights are boring. They're all entertaining. So maybe that's why the UFC is looking to go this route to a degree, is because of the fact that every fight that Diego Lopes in, it is exciting. All of them are exciting, right? And people are going to say, well, Movsar's boring, which if you go back and watch Movsar's fights against Arnold Allen, against Aljamain Sterling, while they're not finishes, those are very entertaining fights. Lerone Murphy going out there, knocking out Aaron Pico the way he did. But I think the UFC's sitting here and they're like, listen, man, we need a Mexican champ. And we know that they're doing this. We saw with the Yair Rodriguez. That's what they're looking to do, man. Because I can't wrap my head around this, right? You just fought this was Volk's last fight. This was Volkanovski's last fight. And then Diego Lopes is out here, who, again, I really like Diego Lopes, and it was very impressive what he did to Jean Silva, going out there, knocking his ass out. But Lerone Murphy versus Movsar have not fought Volkanovski yet. Volkanovski has been the perfect company man, stepped up on short notice, was an active champion, one of the greatest fighters of all time, the featherweight GOAT, all these different things. And what has Volkanovski done to be treated like this by the UFC? I don't understand it, man. Like, we don't have much time left with Volkanovski left in the sport. And instead of throwing him in there with a young, dangerous Diego Lopes who you're just trying to build, instead of sacrificing him in that way and basically hoping that he gets knocked out, why can't we have Alexander Volkanovski in there against Lerone Murphy or Movsar Evloev? Fresh fights for Volkanovski to help him build his legacy. New matchups for us to see Volk fight. We don't want to see him fight Diego Lopes again. He just went out there and put on basically a masterclass against him, outstruck him for 25 minutes, picked him apart, schooled him. And that was Volkanovski's last fight. And I get that Diego Lopes, he's always exciting, man. Like, this isn't shade on Diego. We all like Diego, I feel, right? He's super entertaining. He's a finisher. I like Diego Lopes, but it's so obvious what the UFC is doing here, man. This has gone too far. This has gone too far. And there's no way that you can sit here and say, this isn't the UFC looking at this going, we just hope Diego Lopes can land that big right hand like he did in the first fight against Volkanovski, but this time he can find the finish. Because why else are you booking this fight? It's not like they're sitting there going, yeah, we really want Alexander Volkanovski to go out there and go up 2-0 on Diego Lopes. Like, that doesn't, what would the point of that be? He schooled him the first time. We want to see him against a fresh, undefeated guy in Lerone Murphy, or a guy that's on a crazy win streak, an undefeated Movsar, a guy on a crazy win streak. Those guys have been so good, man. We want to see fresh matchups for Volkanovski. Those guys have earned it. Diego Lopes, while he's entertaining, he just fought Volk, dude. He just fought him. And I understand going out there and knocking out John Silva. It's wildly impressive, but the fact that he's getting the rematch for Volk, like, come on. And I understand it was for the vacant title, and now Volk has the belt, so now it's his first defense here. Now that he has the belt again against Diego Lopes, it's crazy, man. This is a disgrace, dude. It's an absolute disgrace. I see what the UFC is doing. We all understand what they are doing. I feel bad for Volkanovski, man. And I also feel bad for Lerone Murphy and Movsar because these guys have been putting in work, willing to fight anybody, anytime, any place. And I know Diego has been like that as well. Pretty much down to fight anybody. I wanted to see Yair versus Diego Lopes. That was definitely the fight to book. There's bad blood there. There's beef. Maybe we get that fight if the UFC basically gets their wish, which is what I think that they're hoping for, that Volkanovski gets KO'd. Like, what has Volkanovski done to be treated like this, man? I just don't understand it. I'll never understand it, man. Guy's one of the greatest fighters of all time. The most competitive fight that we've seen Islam Makhachev in his entire career. The GOAT of the sport, in my opinion, is Islam Makhachev. His hardest fight was Volkanovski in the first fight. Volkanovski outscoring Max Holloway, up 3-0 against the other greatest featherweight of all time in Max Holloway. I can't understand this, man. I can't understand this. Why is the UFC doing this? The only reason I can think of is that they're hoping that Volkanovski gets knocked out. I can't see them honestly sitting here going, man, we hope Volk goes up 2-0 over Diego Lopes. You really think that they're thinking that? I don't think so, man. And I don't get it either because Volkanovski, there's plenty of fresh matchups. Lerone Murphy, Movsar, there's fresh contenders for Volkanovski, man. And this guy has been, an active champion, stepping in on short notice to fight Islam the second time, willing to save cards, willing to be active, willing to do this, do that. And this is how Volkanovski basically gets repaid, man. And it just feels like exactly what a lot of us have been saying, that the UFC, I don't know why they just haven't been vibing with Volk or something, man. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. I just feel like they're doing Alexander Volkanovski really dirty, man. Really, really dirty. And my early prediction, I hope that Alexander Volkanovski can go out there and beat Diego Lopes. And it's nothing against Diego, but I just feel like this is the UFC trying to feed Volk back to Lopes, putting him in there for another 25 minutes, hoping that Lopes can find the finish this time around. That's what it feels like to me. And to see Volkanovski get done like this, it stings, man. It stings as a Volkanovski fan. It stings as a fan of the sport to kind of see the foulness going on here. And it's not like Volkanovski's done. He's been like this this unbelievably hard champion to work with. He won't take fights. He's inactive. He's the polar opposite. He came back after losing to Islam, getting knocked out for the first time, and then coming back against Ilia Topuria, which was way too soon. He would have gotten knocked out by Ilia anyway because Ilia is that good. But it's just crazy, man. It's crazy how the UFC's treating him. It makes me sick to my stomach, honestly, when I saw this announcement. It's a disgrace. I'm excited about the fights. I'm excited. And again, it's going to be an exciting fight. It's not like it's going to be boring or anything, but we know what this is. They're hoping that Volkanovski goes out there, gets finished by Diego Lopes, and yeah, they can have Diego Lopes add Volk to the resume, and Diego can start his run, and I guess we say goodbye to Volkanovski. I'm hoping that doesn't happen. I like Diego. He could win the belt some other time, but it ain't going to be this time. I hope not, at least. I want Volkanovski to go out there, stick and move, be boring Volk, jab and leg kick if that's what you got to do, Volk. I don't give a rat's ass if this is the most boring title fight of all time. I hope this looks like Izzy versus Romero and Volk gets the decision nod. How about that? That's what I hope, man. I hope this is Izzy versus Romero, man. Jab and leg kick, stare at each other. Diego Lopes ain't going to fight like that, but you know what I mean. I hope Volkanovski does the bare minimum. Stay safe, goes out there, gets this one done. I like Diego, man, but this is just so foul by the UFC, in my opinion. So that's my thoughts, man. This is an absolute disgrace, right? Both of these guys, they should be fighting for the title, 150% in my opinion, right? And, hopefully we get the number one contender fight between those two. And, Ilia's going to be fighting either Gaethje or Paddy when he gets back. So UFC seems like they got it all figured out, don't they, man? So I'm excited. Don't get me wrong, guys. I'm very excited for this card. I'm not trying to be Debbie Downer or anything, but I just can't help but notice, some of this rankness, some of this whackness that's going on from the UFC, man. And I just feel like with the Paramount thing going on now, the new Paramount era, I feel like this is going to become way more common than what we've seen before. Like, we've been complaining before. I feel like it's just going to hit a new level, man. Like, the first 2 numbered events of the new Paramount era, we get Paddy and Gaethje as the headliner, basically controversial. Volkanovski and Diego Lopes, controversial on those guys being a part of title fights. Just absolutely crazy, man. Absolutely crazy. But I want to hear from you all down in the comments. Do me a favor, like the video. Like I said, let me know what you think. And if you're new, if you could subscribe to the channel and support me, man, I would greatly appreciate it. See you next time.